Have you ever realized that the most powerful voice in your life is the one no one else can hear? Not your parents, not your friends, not even your enemies. It's your own. The voice inside your head. It can build empires or burn them to ash. It can make you unstoppable or bury your dreams before they ever take their first breath. But here's the haunting question. What if that voice has been lying to you all along? What if the enemy you've been fighting is living quietly in your mind? Every word you whisper to yourself shapes your destiny. Every thought, every belief, every silent conversation rewrites who you become. And yet most people never learn to control it. This is where everything changes, because the power of self-talk, written by a master of inner transformation, reveals how to turn that quiet whisper into your greatest weapon. So take a breath. Listen closely. Your new voice is waiting to be born. Now, let's begin the audiobook. If you are ready, let me open the very first page of this journey.
Chapter 1. The Voice Within. That voice, the quiet one that lives inside your head, is the most powerful force you will ever encounter. It never leaves you. It talks when you wake up, when you look in the mirror, when you fail, and even when you succeed. It comments, it judges, it reminds, it rewinds. Sometimes it cheers for you. Other times it becomes your harshest critic. But what if I told you that this voice decides the entire direction of your life without you even realizing it? That your inner dialogue is the invisible hand guiding your emotions, your relationships, and your future. When you think about it, everything begins in silence. Before every action, before every decision, before every moment of courage or collapse, there is a conversation inside you. It starts with a simple phrase, "Can I do this?" Or, "I can't." And in that instant, your destiny shifts. It's strange, isn't it? How a few silent words can create so much weight. How something no one else can hear can still hold you prisoner. Imagine this. Two people facing the same challenge. One says, "I'm ready. I'll figure it out." The other says, "I'm not good enough." They both face the same storm, but only one sails through it. The difference isn't skill, luck, or opportunity. It's self-talk. From the moment you were born, your mind began recording every word, every tone, every emotion around you. Parents, teachers, friends, strangers. Their words became echoes, and those echoes became your inner voice. When you were praised, you learned confidence. When you were criticized, you learned doubt. Over time, these fragments of other people's voices blended together and became your own. That's why sometimes, when you're trying to do something new, you feel a strange resistance, a whisper that says, "Don't try, you'll fail." That's not the truth. That's the echo of a memory, someone else's fear still living inside your mind. Now, let's look at what this voice actually does. Every time you think or speak, your brain fires signals that release chemicals, emotions. If your self-talk is negative, your body releases stress hormones like cortisol. If it's positive, it releases dopamine and serotonin, the confidence chemicals. In simple terms, your body reacts to your words as if they were real. Say, "I'm exhausted," and your body starts shutting down. Say, "I'm ready," and your body finds energy you didn't know you had. Your self-talk programs your biology. But here's where it gets even deeper. Your subconscious mind, the part that controls 95% of your daily behavior, listens to everything. It doesn't know the difference between truth and lie. It only believes repetition. So, if you tell yourself every day, "I'm not smart enough," your mind accepts it as fact. If you say, "I can't change," your subconscious builds walls to protect that belief. But the reverse is just as powerful. If you begin to say, "I am capable, I am learning, I am growing," your subconscious starts shifting your identity to match those words. You become what you repeatedly say to yourself. Think about how many times you've talked yourself out of something great. A chance you didn't take, a dream you abandoned halfway, a compliment you refused to believe. Why? Because that voice inside said, "You're not ready." And you listened. That inner voice is persuasive. It knows your fears. It speaks in your own tone, with your own logic. That's what makes it so dangerous and so powerful. But there's a beautiful truth hiding in this. If that voice has the power to destroy you, it also has the power to save you. Because it's yours. You created it, and you can reprogram it. The key is awareness. The moment you realize that you are not your thoughts, you are the observer behind them, the game changes. Next time you hear yourself saying, "I can't do this," pause. Ask, who is speaking? Is it you or an old echo pretending to be you? That's the first step, awareness. Because when you can observe the voice, you can separate yourself from it. And once you separate, you can start to change it. This is where real power begins. You begin to choose your inner words. You speak to yourself like someone you love, not someone you despise. You stop using your mind as a weapon and start using it as a tool. When you change your inner conversation, your world outside starts to shift. Opportunities appear. Confidence grows. The impossible begins to feel possible again. Because the truth is simple. You don't live with what happens to you. You live with what you say about what happens to you. So tonight, when you're alone, listen, not to the world, but to yourself. Ask, what is my inner voice saying about me? Is it helping me grow or holding me back? Is it my friend or my jailer? Because the answer to that question will define not just your mood, but your entire destiny. But what if the voice you trust the most has been lying to you your entire life? What if the greatest battle isn't outside, but inside your own mind?
Chapter 2. The Silent Enemy. What if the person sabotaging your success is you? What if the enemy you've been fighting all along doesn't live outside, but whispers inside your mind? We often imagine our struggles as external, difficult people, tough luck, unfair systems. But the truth is far more intimate, far more unsettling. Because the greatest enemy you will ever face is invisible. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It doesn't attack, it suggests. That voice, quiet, constant, and convincing, tells you you're not ready, not worthy, not enough. And most of the time, you believe it. The silent enemy begins with a single seed of doubt, a small phrase that slips through your thoughts like smoke. What if I fail? What will people think? Why even try? It doesn't need to shout, because repetition is its weapon. Every time you hesitate, it grows stronger. Every time you surrender, it builds walls higher. This enemy lives in everyone. It thrives on fear, guilt, and the need for perfection. And it doesn't destroy you overnight. It does it slowly, quietly, until one day you realize you've stopped believing in yourself. Let's be honest. How many dreams have died because of that inner voice? How many times have you said no to an opportunity that scared you, not because you couldn't do it, but because you couldn't silence the voice that said you couldn't? That's the cruel genius of the silent enemy. It uses your own voice against you. It mimics your tone, your logic, your memories. So you don't fight back because it feels like you. But here's the truth. That voice is not you. It's a collection of experiences, fears, and words planted in your mind over the years. Every insult, every rejection, every failure left an echo, and those echoes became a chorus. Psychologists call this the inner critic. It's the mental mechanism that evolved to protect us from danger, but now, in modern life, it's misfiring. Instead of warning us against real threats, it warns us against growth. It mistakes risk for danger, change for pain, and failure for death. When you were a child and someone laughed at your mistake, your brain recorded it as danger. So now, even as an adult, when you try something new, your brain releases fear. Your inner voice panics. It tells you, "Stop, don't embarrass yourself again." And you obey, because you think it's protecting you. But in truth, it's not saving you, it's caging you. Let's look deeper. Negative self-talk often sounds logical. It pretends to be realistic. It says, "Be practical. You're too old. You're not talented enough." It disguises fear as wisdom. It sounds reasonable, and that's what makes it deadly. Because you don't resist what feels rational. You just slowly lower your expectations, little by little, until one day you stop reaching altogether. This enemy has another weapon: comparison. In the world of social media and constant noise, your inner critic feeds on other people's highlight reels. You see their success, their happiness, their achievements, and your inner voice whispers, "Look at them. You'll never be that good." And you forget that what you're seeing is not reality, but a filtered illusion. The silent enemy loves illusions, because as long as you're distracted by what others are doing, you'll never listen to the truth of who you could become. So how do you fight something you can't see? The first step is recognition. You cannot defeat an enemy you refuse to acknowledge. Start by noticing the tone of your inner talk. When you fail, what do you say to yourself? When you win, do you celebrate or downplay it? Write those words down. You'll be surprised by how cruel they sound when you see them in ink. Then ask yourself, would I ever speak to someone I love this way? If the answer is no, then why do you think you deserve less kindness than others? That question alone can break chains. Here's something most people never realize. Your inner critic isn't trying to hurt you. It's trying to protect you. It just doesn't know how. It was created during moments of pain, rejection, or failure to help you survive. It whispers, "Don't try again," not because it wants to destroy you, but because it wants to keep you safe. But survival and success are not the same thing. The voice that once kept you safe from emotional pain is now keeping you from growth, love, and opportunity. To win this battle, you don't silence the voice. You retrain it. Start small. When it says, "You'll fail," answer, "Maybe, but I'll learn." When it says, "You're not good enough," answer, "I'm improving every day." When it says, "You can't," answer, softly, "Watch me." Each time you challenge it, its power weakens. Each time you choose courage over comfort, you reclaim a piece of yourself. This is how self-mastery begins, not by fighting the inner enemy, but by transforming it. Remember this, the voice in your mind is not fate, it's a habit, and habits can be changed. You've lived under its control for years, but the moment you realize you can choose your words, you begin to rewrite the script of your life. You are not your doubts. You are not your fears. You are the one who hears them. and the one who can replace them with truth. Because once you learn to confront the silent enemy, a new power awakens, the power to reprogram the voice itself. And when that happens, everything about you begins to change.
Chapter 3. Words that build or break you. Can a single word change the course of your life? What if the way you speak to yourself is silently shaping the world you live in? Every word carries a frequency, a vibration, a pulse. It's more than sound, it's energy. When you speak, you're not just describing your world, you're creating it. The words you say to yourself become the architecture of your destiny. You tell yourself, "I can't," and your brain begins shutting down options. You tell yourself, "I can," and suddenly it starts finding solutions. It's not magic. It's neurochemistry, the language of your mind directing the biology of your body. Your brain listens to everything you say and believes it. Every phrase, every complaint, every whisper of doubt is taken as instruction. Say, "I'm tired," and your muscles respond with fatigue. Say, "I'm calm," and your heartbeat steadies. Say, "I'm capable," and your neurons light up pathways of confidence and focus. This is the science of self-creation. You are programming your own operating system every time you open your mouth. And yet, most people do it unconsciously, using words that poison their potential. Think about how easily we use self-destructive language. "I'm such an idiot. I'll never get this right. I'm unlucky." Each statement becomes a micro-command to your subconscious, and your subconscious doesn't argue, it obeys. It begins filtering your world to prove your words true. If you say you're unlucky, you stop noticing opportunities. If you say you're not confident, you unconsciously avoid situations that require courage. Your words build the prison, then hand you the key. But what if, just what if, you flipped the script? What if you began speaking as if the best version of you already existed? What if your words became your prophecy? Imagine waking up and saying, "Today I'm focused, I'm strong, I'm guided." Even if you don't feel that way at first, your subconscious starts listening, adjusting, aligning. Within days, your energy shifts. Within weeks, your confidence grows. Within months, your entire reality begins to reshape itself because your internal dialogue changed its tone. Here's something remarkable. Studies in neuroscience show that your brain releases the same chemicals whether you actually experience something or vividly imagine it. That means your self-talk, your inner language, can trick your mind into believing it's already succeeded. Say, "I am powerful," and your brain responds as though you already are. Say, "I'm healing," and your body activates its repair systems. Say, "I'm lost," and your brain starts searching for confusion instead of clarity. You see how delicate this balance is. Words are not harmless. They are codes. Every phrase you repeat becomes part of your emotional software. You write commands, consciously or unconsciously, every single day. And most people have no idea how much damage their casual language causes. We use exaggerations like weapons. "I hate my job. I'm dying of stress. I can't handle this." Every dramatic sentence becomes a signal, and your body obeys the drama even if it was never true. So the next time you speak, ask yourself, am I giving my power away or reclaiming it? But positive words aren't just about blind optimism. They're about precision, about speaking to your mind in a language it understands, firm, emotional, and present tense. Instead of saying, "I will be confident," say, "I am confident."
Instead of I want peace, say I am peaceful. The mind doesn't respond to future tense, it responds to now. When you speak in the present, your mind acts immediately. It begins aligning thoughts, emotions, and behaviors to make your words a living truth. That's why affirmations, when done correctly, can transform a life. But when done carelessly, they can feel hollow, like repeating words you don't believe. The secret isn't in the sentence, it's in the emotion you attach it to. If you say, I'm confident, with fear in your voice, your mind hears fear. If you say it with conviction, your mind hears power. Emotion gives language life. Let's do a small experiment. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Now whisper to yourself, I am enough. Feel that? That small warmth in your chest, that quiet shift inside? That's the energy of truth. It's always been there, you just never spoke to it with intention. Now try the opposite. Say, I'll never make it. Do you feel that sinking weight? That's how your body reacts every time you use destructive self-talk. This is the battlefield of language, invisible but real. Every word is a soldier, every sentence a command, and the war is for your mind. The most powerful people on earth, leaders, athletes, creators, all have one thing in common. They guard their language like treasure. They know that what they say in the dark becomes reality in the light. They feed their mind the words of victory long before they win. When a sprinter says, I've already crossed the finish line in my mind, when a speaker says, the crowd already loves me, they're not delusional. They're programming performance. Because the subconscious can't tell the difference between imagination and experience. So why not imagine something worth living? The truth is, you don't attract what you want. You attract what you speak. And the universe listens through your tone, your thoughts, your emotions. Your words are blueprints. Speak defeat, and your life builds walls. Speak hope, and your life opens doors. Every time you talk to yourself, you are either building a bridge or digging a grave. From this moment, listen carefully to your own voice. Catch the words you use when no one's watching, because in those moments, your future is being designed silently, invisibly, but permanently. If your self-talk is your weapon, aim wisely, because the only thing standing between your potential and your reality is a single word. But how did those words, those invisible building blocks, get planted in your mind in the first place? Where did your inner language begin, and who taught it to you?
Chapter 4. The Mirror of the Mind. When you look in the mirror, who do you really see? The person you are, or the story you've been told about yourself? And what if that reflection has never been real? Only a voice-made illusion. Every human being lives with two images. One, the physical reflection we see in glass. The other, the invisible image that lives inside our mind. That inner picture determines everything: what we believe we deserve, how we behave, and how far we allow ourselves to rise. That picture is not drawn by truth. It's drawn by self-talk. Your mind is a mirror. It reflects what you repeatedly tell it. If your words are filled with self-criticism, that reflection becomes distorted, smaller, weaker. But if your words carry confidence, compassion, and courage, your reflection becomes strong, radiant, and unshakable. You can stand in front of a mirror and change your expression in seconds. But changing your inner mirror takes awareness, patience, and courage. because that mirror doesn't show who you are. It shows who you think you are. Think back for a moment. When was the first time someone made you doubt your worth? A cruel comment from a teacher? A parent's disappointment? A failure that made you question your ability? Those moments left fingerprints on the glass of your mind. They shaped the reflection you now see. Each insult became a scratch. Each rejection became a crack. And over time, you stopped seeing your true self and began seeing the version your pain created. This is how the cycle begins. You speak from the reflection you see. You tell yourself, "I'm not good enough." Your mind believes it and reinforces that image. Then, when you fail, you say, "See, I was right." It becomes a loop, a perfect trap. But here's the truth that can break the loop forever. Your self-image is not a fact. It's a story. And every story can be rewritten. To understand this, imagine your mind as a movie projector. Your self-talk is the film. Whatever you feed into it, the lens projects onto the screen of your reality. If the film is dark, the image is dark. If the film is bright, the image glows. Change the film, change the life. So how do you start changing the image? It begins with noticing your language about yourself. Not just what you say out loud, but what you think when no one else hears. When you make a mistake, do you say, "I'm stupid"? When you succeed, do you think, "It's just luck"? That's the mirror talking, and it's warped by years of reflection. The moment you recognize that inner voice, you gain the power to correct it, like wiping the fog off a mirror. Because beneath the distortion, the real you still exists, untouched, unbroken, waiting to be seen again. You see, your self-talk doesn't just describe your self-image, it creates it. And that image silently controls every decision you make. If you see yourself as a failure, you'll sabotage success because it doesn't fit your identity. If you see yourself unworthy, you'll reject love even when it's freely given. If you see yourself as powerful, opportunities seem to appear from nowhere because your actions unconsciously align with that belief. Your life always rises or falls to the level of your self-image. Here's a powerful truth. Your mind cannot hold two conflicting images of yourself for long. If you keep feeding it a new one, a stronger, brighter, more confident version, it must replace the old one. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. There's a practice I call mirror rewiring. It's simple, but life-changing. Stand before a mirror. Look into your own eyes. Not your hair, not your flaws, your eyes. And say out loud, "I am not my past. I am my potential." Say it again and again until you see a flicker of truth behind your own reflection, because that flicker is the beginning of reprogramming. You're not lying to yourself. You're awakening yourself. You're reminding your subconscious what it forgot, that you are not broken. You are becoming. Many people struggle with this at first. They feel foolish, fake, or even emotional. That's because they've never truly spoken to themselves, only at themselves. But when you look in that mirror
and use the language of love instead of judgment, you start repairing the cracks. You stop waiting for the world to validate you and begin validating yourself. This is not arrogance, it's alignment. It's the moment you decide to see yourself as your soul sees you, infinite, capable, worthy. Remember this: your outer life is a reflection of your inner image. If you want the world to treat you differently, treat yourself differently first. If you want respect, speak to yourself with respect. If you want success, stop calling yourself unworthy of it. Your words are the brush, and your mind is the canvas. What you paint within will always show without. One day, you'll look in the mirror and realize the old reflection is gone. The eyes staring back at you no longer carry doubt or shame. They carry certainty, calm, power. And you'll whisper to yourself, "This is who I was always meant to be." But if the mirror of the mind can be rewritten, who was it that wrote the original script of your thoughts? Who programmed the very words you speak to yourself every day? And why do they still control you? Secret 5 will explain all.
Chapter 5. The Programming of the Past. Have you ever wondered why you think the way you do? Who taught your mind the words it repeats, the doubts, the fears, the limits that sound so familiar? Before you ever learned to speak, the world was already speaking to you. Every sound, every tone, every emotion you absorbed became part of your mental code. And long before you had the power to choose your thoughts, someone else was already writing them for you. That is how the programming begins. In your earliest years, your mind was like soft clay, unguarded, impressionable, open. Your parents' words, your teacher's lessons, your friends' laughter, your failures, all pressed their fingerprints into you. It wasn't done to harm you. It was done to shape you. But in shaping, it also limited you. Because what you heard most often became your truth. If you were told, "You're too sensitive," you learned to hide your feelings. If you were told you're lazy, you started to believe you were. If you were told you're amazing, you grew wings of confidence until someone else's words clipped them. You see, the human mind is not born with self-doubt. It learns it. It learns through repetition, through echoes of the past that replay in the present. Every time someone said you're not enough, your subconscious made a note. And now, years later, you find yourself repeating that same judgment, not because it's true, but because it's familiar. Your mind prefers familiar pain over unfamiliar growth. That's why breaking mental patterns feels uncomfortable, because you're not just changing thoughts, you're rewriting history. There's an old saying, "The child is the father of the man," meaning the adult you are today is built upon the beliefs of the child you once were. That child still lives inside you. When you face rejection, it's not the adult who's hurt, it's the child who once felt unseen. When you fear failure, it's not your current self trembling, it's the little one who was scolded for making mistakes. Your self-talk is often your inner child's voice, older but unchanged. The same wounds, the same fears, disguised as logic. But here's the truth most people never hear. You can reparent yourself. You can speak to your inner child with the words you needed back then. When your mind says, "I'm not enough," you can answer, "You are safe now. You are learning. You are growing." Because healing doesn't mean erasing the past. It means giving the past a new voice.
Let's explore how deep this programming runs. Psychologists call it conditioning. By age 7, your subconscious absorbs nearly everything around you, without filter or judgment. That's when your truths were installed. If your environment was full of criticism, scarcity, or chaos, your subconscious linked those patterns to safety. Now, as an adult, you unconsciously recreate them, not because you want to suffer, but because suffering feels normal. That's why people repeat toxic relationships, sabotage opportunities, or reject happiness. Their self-talk is still running on childhood code. They keep saying things like, "Good things never last. I always mess it up. No one really stays." Each phrase is not reality, it's memory. But memory is not fate. The beauty of the human mind is its plasticity, its ability to reprogram itself. And self-talk is the key that unlocks that process. Every new phrase you repeat consciously becomes a new line of code. I am capable. I am worthy of love. I am allowed to grow. These are not just affirmations, they are rewrites. Each word begins erasing the old scripts one by one. It's like updating an ancient computer. Your operating system, your subconscious, still runs programs written decades ago. But you are the administrator now. You can install updates. You can delete files that no longer serve you. You can say, "This belief helped me survive once, but now I choose something new." That's how transformation begins, not by fighting the past, but by reprogramming it. Here's a simple but powerful exercise. Close your eyes and imagine the younger version of yourself, the child you once were. See their face, their eyes, their innocence. Now listen carefully. What were the words they needed to hear but never did? Maybe it's "you are loved." Maybe it's "you are safe." Maybe it's "you are enough exactly as you are." Whisper those words not as fantasy, but as healing, because your subconscious still listens. And that inner child, the one who has waited in silence for years, finally exhales when it hears truth spoken with love. When you change your language toward your past, your present begins to shift naturally. You stop carrying guilt that was never yours. You stop repeating patterns that were never your choice. You begin to see that the people who hurt you were also repeating their programming. The chain doesn't need your anger, it needs your awareness. And once you see it, really see it, the cycle ends with you. Your past was written by accident, but your future can be written on purpose. Each time you replace a limiting phrase with an empowering one, you rewrite your internal story. You stop being the echo of your past and start becoming the voice of your potential. There's something liberating about realizing that the thoughts in your head aren't truly yours. They were borrowed, repeated, inherited. And if they were learned, they can be unlearned. The power of self-talk is not about forcing positivity, it's about reclaiming authorship over your own mind. Because you, and only you, get to decide the next sentence in your story. But what happens when you finally awaken? When you realize the voice of the past no longer controls you? How do you take that awareness and turn it into true control over your inner world?
Chapter 6. The Language of Limitation. What if the greatest prison you ever lived in was built out of your own words? And what if every sentence you spoke became another brick in those invisible walls? Words are not harmless. They are spells, vibrations that shape emotion, influence thought, and carve the world you walk in. Every time you speak, out loud or silently in your head, you are programming your reality.
We think we're describing our life with language, but in truth, we're creating it. Let's start with a simple observation. Most people talk about what they don't want. I don't want to fail. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to get hurt again. But your subconscious mind doesn't process negation. It only hears the command. When you say, I don't want to fail, your mind only locks on one word, fail. And without realizing it, you are steering yourself directly toward the very thing you fear. This is the language of limitation, a hidden code of negativity that masquerades as caution. It sounds harmless, even logical, but it's secretly destructive, because whatever you focus your words on expands. Think of it like planting seeds. Each word is a seed of thought. If you constantly speak about what's missing, what's wrong, what could go wrong, you're watering weeds, not flowers. And over time, those weeds choke your potential. Have you ever heard yourself say, I'm just not that smart. I'm terrible with money. I can't handle pressure. Those aren't casual remarks. They're commands, instructions written into your subconscious script. You repeat them often enough, and they become laws your mind no longer questions. Because your subconscious doesn't argue, it obeys. It's not just what you say, but how you say it. Your tone, your rhythm, your choice of words all send emotional signals. If you speak about your future with hesitation, your subconscious registers fear. If you speak about it with conviction, it registers possibility. Your language either limits you or liberates you. Here's the truth. Limiting language is the most subtle form of self-sabotage. It's invisible, habitual, and automatic. You don't even realize how often you're caging yourself in words like can't, shouldn't, always, or never. I'll never be good enough. I always mess it up. I can't do this. Each one is a bar in the prison of the mind. Let's explore how this works emotionally. When you say, I can't, you're not describing ability, you're declaring finality. You shut down the possibility of growth. Your brain stops searching for solutions the moment you decide they don't exist. But when you shift your language, you unlock a new dimension. Instead of saying, I can't, say, I haven't learned how yet. That single word, yet, turns a dead end into an open door, because yet implies potential, and potential is the foundation of every transformation. Language isn't just communication, it's creation. When you wake up and say, this day is going to be stressful, you've already written your script. But if you say, I'll handle whatever comes with calm and focus, you've rewritten it. Same day, different outcome. Because your words frame your world. Now imagine if you recorded every sentence you spoke to yourself in a day. How many of those would you call kind? How many would you call cruel? Most people would be shocked because we speak to ourselves in ways we'd never dare speak to a friend. We use sarcasm, judgment, dismissal, and call it being realistic. But realism is often just pessimism wearing a mask. There's nothing noble about putting yourself down. There's no strength in self-criticism disguised as humility. You can be humble and still believe in your power. You can be grounded and still speak greatness into existence. When you say, I deserve peace, you're not being arrogant, you're being truthful. When you say, I am capable, you're not pretending, you're practicing mental freedom. Every language has two versions, the language of limitation and the language of liberation. One says, I can't, I'm not, I'll never. The other says, I can learn, I am becoming, I will. Your life will always move in the direction of the language you use most. Here's an exercise. For the next 24 hours, become hyper-aware of your words. Every time you say something negative about yourself, pause. Then reframe it. I'm so disorganized becomes I'm learning how to create order. I'm terrible with relationships becomes I'm understanding what healthy love looks like. I never get lucky becomes I'm open to new opportunities. The shift may feel small, but it's not, because language changes focus, and focus changes everything. Remember, you are the narrator of your own life. Every sentence you speak paints a picture. If the picture feels dull, you don't need a new canvas. You need a new vocabulary. Your future is written in your words before it's lived in your actions. So speak what you want to become. Speak it until your mind believes it, because once it believes, it becomes. But there's an even deeper truth hidden beneath your words, a secret about how your mind translates them into emotion and action. Once you uncover that process, you'll never speak to yourself the same way again.
Chapter 7. The Inner Voice Revolution. What if I told you that the most powerful revolution in your life won't begin in the streets, but inside your mind? And that the voice leading that revolution is yours. There comes a moment in every person's life when silence becomes unbearable. When the noise of doubt, fear, and guilt inside the mind grows too loud to ignore. When you realize the enemy you've been fighting all along lives within your own words. That's when the revolution begins. Not with anger, but with awareness. Your inner voice is the most loyal companion you've ever had. It's been with you in every moment, cheering, criticizing, warning, dreaming. It knows your secrets, your weaknesses, your hopes. But for most of your life, it's gone unchecked, talking endlessly without filter or direction. Until now. When you learn to listen consciously, you discover something incredible. Your inner voice isn't one voice at all. It's a chorus made up of every influence that's ever touched you. There's the voice of your parents reminding you of what's safe, the voice of your teachers echoing rules, the voice of friends and enemies, of lovers and strangers, each one leaving an imprint. But somewhere, buried deep under all that noise, is your real voice, the voice of truth, the voice of peace, the voice of you. The inner voice revolution is about reclaiming that voice, taking back control from the crowd in your head. You begin by noticing. The next time you make a mistake, listen to what your mind says. Does it say, "It's okay, let's fix it"? Or does it whisper, "You always mess things up"? That's your first clue, because that tone, that energy, tells you whether your inner world is ruled by compassion or criticism. The revolution doesn't start by shouting over the old voice. It starts by understanding it. Ask yourself, whose voice is this? Where did I learn to speak to myself this way? You'll be surprised how many of your self-beliefs don't belong to you. They were inherited, absorbed, repeated. But now you have the power to question them. And questioning is the first act of freedom. Let's go deeper. Imagine two versions of yourself sitting across the table. One is your inner critic, sharp, quick, and cold. It remembers every failure in perfect detail. It exaggerates mistakes, minimizes progress, and thrives on comparison. The other is your inner coach, calm, wise, and compassionate. It sees your effort, your growth, your potential. It speaks with kindness, but never with weakness. Now ask yourself, which one are you feeding more often?
because whichever voice you feed wins. The truth is, your inner voice can't be silenced, but it can be trained through repetition, awareness, and choice. You can teach it a new language, a language of support, strength, and clarity. Start small. When you catch yourself saying, "I'm such an idiot," stop and say, "No, I made a mistake and I'm learning." When your mind says, "I can't do this," answer, "I'll do it step by step." These tiny corrections may feel trivial, but they are revolutionary. Because every time you correct your self-talk, you rewire your brain's emotional response. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity. Your thoughts carve new neural pathways with every repetition. So when you replace "I'm worthless" with "I'm improving," you're not lying, you're building. You're building strength where weakness once lived. You're building calm where panic used to reign. You're building a voice that heals instead of harms. That's not just psychology, that's transformation. Here's something powerful to remember. You don't need to believe positive self-talk for it to work. You only need to say it long enough for your brain to start believing. Belief comes later. Repetition comes first. It's like teaching a child to walk. At first it falls, then it wobbles, then it runs. Your inner voice learns the same way, through patience and practice. Soon you'll notice a shift. Moments that once triggered anxiety now meet calm. Words that once felt like self-attack become self-encouragement. And one day, in the middle of ordinary chaos, you'll hear it. A new voice inside saying, "You've got this. I'm proud of you. Keep going." That's when you'll realize the revolution is complete. But the battle never truly ends, because the old voices will try to return, especially when you're tired or afraid. They'll whisper, "See, you haven't changed." And that's when you'll smile, because now you know the truth. You have changed. You just don't obey them anymore. Every great revolution starts quietly, inside one mind that dares to say no more. No more cruelty disguised as truth. No more silence pretending to protect. No more self-talk that kills instead of creates. Because once your inner voice becomes your ally, you become unstoppable. But awareness isn't enough. There's a science to transforming self-talk into lasting power. And in the next chapter, you'll discover the formula that turns words into results.
Chapter 8. The Formula of Transformational Self-Talk. What if there was a step-by-step formula that could take the words in your head and turn them into unstoppable power? What if the right self-talk could literally reshape your reality, one phrase at a time? Most people struggle with self-talk because they treat it like a random whisper in the wind. They hope it will fix itself, or try repeating affirmations without direction. But transformation isn't random, it's intentional. And intention requires a formula. Today, we uncover the science and method behind turning thoughts into results. The formula is simple, but deceptively powerful. It has 3 core components. Awareness. Before you can change your self-talk, you must first hear it. Notice the words you speak to yourself throughout the day. Every sigh, complaint, judgment, and doubt. Write them down. Listen without judgment. This is your baseline, the raw material your mind has been running for years. Interruption. Once you've identified negative or limiting self-talk,
It's time to interrupt the pattern. Say stop internally. Snap your fingers. Take a deep breath. Break the rhythm of the old thoughts. If you do nothing, your brain defaults to its habitual programming. Interrupting gives you the space to choose something new. Replacement. Now comes the most important part. Replace the old words with empowering ones. And not just random positivity, words that are specific, emotional, and present tense. Instead of, I will try to succeed, say, I am succeeding. Instead of, I hope I don't fail, say, I learn from every step I take. The language must be immediate, confident, and infused with emotion. When done consistently, this formula rewires the brain. Science calls it neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to form new connections. Every time you replace a negative phrase with a positive one, you are literally building new neural pathways. Old limiting patterns weaken. New powerful patterns grow stronger. This is why self-talk isn't just mental exercise, it's brain engineering. Let's break it down with an example. Suppose you face fear of public speaking. Your old self-talk says, I'm going to embarrass myself. I'm terrible at this. Step 1, awareness. Notice the exact thoughts. Step 2, interruption. Pause, breathe, shake off the tension. Step 3, replacement. Say, I am confident. I communicate clearly. People value what I share. Do this repeatedly every time the fear arises, and your mind stops accepting the old narrative as truth. Slowly, the fear fades, confidence takes root, and eventually your actions align with the words, because your mind believes them. There's another secret to make the formula even more powerful: emotion amplification. Your subconscious doesn't just respond to words, it responds to feeling. When you say, I am strong, you must feel the strength in your body. Stand tall, breathe deeply, and visualize success as you speak. Emotion acts as an amplifier. It transforms mere phrases into lived experience. Consistency is the final piece. You must repeat this practice daily. Every day is an opportunity to overwrite the old scripts with new, intentional ones. The brain thrives on repetition, and habits are formed in the quiet persistence of daily practice. Over weeks, months, and years, what was once a whisper of hope becomes a roar of certainty. Your life changes, not because of luck, circumstances, or willpower alone, but because your internal dialogue has become your most powerful ally. This formula also works on emotions, habits, and relationships. Use it to calm anxiety, increase focus, build resilience, and strengthen confidence. Replace fear with courage, doubt with clarity, negativity with empowerment. The same words that once limited you now propel you forward. And here's the most profound truth. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the voice you've been feeding. Feed it wisely. As you master this formula, you begin noticing subtle changes. You stop reacting automatically. You start choosing your words and responses intentionally. You gain control over your thoughts and, in turn, your reality. It's a revolution that starts quietly, a daily habit that grows into unstoppable momentum. Your inner voice, once a silent saboteur, now becomes your greatest champion. But knowing the formula is not enough. Mastery comes from application in the real world. In the next chapter, we will explore the daily rituals and mental exercises that turn this self-talk into tangible, life-altering results.
Chapter 9. Daily Rituals of Self-Talk Mastery. What if the secret to transforming your life didn't lie in big leaps or dramatic events, but in the small, daily rituals you practice every single day? Could 10 minutes of intentional self-talk reshape your reality more than years of wishful thinking?
Mastery of self-talk is not a one-time event. It's a lifestyle. It's a series of deliberate, repeated actions that rewire your mind, train your emotions, and program your subconscious for success. The great news is, these rituals are simple. You don't need special tools, expensive courses, or extreme discipline. You just need awareness, intention, and consistency. Ritual 1. Morning alignment. The moment you wake, your mind is highly receptive, like soft clay ready to be shaped. Start your day with intentional self-talk. Look in the mirror and speak to yourself clearly. I am focused. I am capable. I choose joy and clarity today. Feel every word in your body. Stand tall. Breathe deeply. Visualize your day unfolding successfully. This primes your subconscious to seek opportunities and solutions aligned with your intentions. Ritual 2. Midday reset. By midday, most people are running on autopilot, reacting to stress, doubt, and distractions. Pause. Take 5 minutes to check in with your inner voice. Ask, what am I telling myself right now? Are these words helpful or harmful? Interrupt any negative self-talk and replace it with empowering statements. For example, I can handle challenges. I am in control of my emotions. This midday reset keeps your mind aligned and prevents the old limiting scripts from taking over. Ritual 3. Evening reflection. Before sleep, the subconscious is highly active. It records everything as if it were a directive. End your day with reflection and gratitude. Ask, what did I do well today? What challenges did I overcome? Speak affirmations for tomorrow. I am growing every day. My mind is calm, clear, and strong. This ritual closes the day with empowerment, planting seeds for tomorrow's success. Ritual 4. Emotional anchoring. Self-talk is not only about words, it's about feeling. Anchor positive phrases to strong emotions. For example, recall a moment when you felt proud, brave, or loved. Now pair that memory with your affirmations. I am confident, while feeling pride. I am courageous, while recalling bravery. This creates an emotional pathway that makes your affirmations far more powerful, embedding them deeply in your subconscious. Ritual 5. Visualization and future talk. Spend time imagining your ideal outcomes. Not just passive daydreaming. Actively narrate your success in your mind. Say, I am giving an amazing presentation. I am receiving recognition for my work. I am surrounded by supportive and loving people. This daily mental rehearsal sends signals to your subconscious, shaping beliefs, behaviors, and ultimately reality. Consistency is the key. 10 minutes of intentional self-talk repeated daily compounds exponentially over weeks and months. The small ripples become waves. The whispers become roars. Your subconscious begins acting as a loyal partner instead of a sabotaging enemy. Eventually, these rituals stop feeling like effort. They become automatic. They become identity. The inner critic loses its influence. The inner champion takes the lead. Your life begins to reflect the words you've chosen to speak to yourself. Your relationships, work, health, and emotional state all transform in alignment with your daily self-talk practice. But awareness and rituals alone are not enough. There's a hidden layer to self-talk mastery, the subtle, subconscious triggers and patterns that either amplify or undermine your efforts. In the next chapter, we will uncover these hidden dynamics, giving you complete control over your mind and destiny.
Chapter 10. The Hidden Triggers of Your Mind. What if the reason your self-talk sometimes fails
isn't you, but invisible triggers lurking beneath the surface of your mind? And what if mastering these hidden forces could make your positive words unstoppable? Your mind is like an iceberg. The thoughts you're aware of, the words you speak consciously, are only the tip. Beneath the surface lies a massive world of subconscious triggers, automatic responses, old memories, and deeply ingrained beliefs. These triggers control a surprising portion of your behavior. They can sabotage your self-talk before you even realize it. The key to mastery is not fighting them, it's understanding them. Trigger 1. Emotional anchors from the past. Many of your current reactions are echoes from old experiences. A harsh word from childhood, a public humiliation, or repeated criticism may have wired your mind to react in certain ways. For example, a single mistake at work triggers disproportionate self-doubt, not because the mistake matters, but because your mind is replaying past criticism. Recognizing these emotional anchors allows you to respond differently. Instead of feeding the negative loop, you can pause, breathe, and consciously replace the old reaction with empowering self-talk. Trigger 2. Environmental cues. Your surroundings influence your inner dialogue more than you think. People, social media, news, even the room you sit in, all can subtly activate limiting beliefs. A critical colleague might trigger the old voice that says, "I'm not enough." Scrolling through social media may ignite comparison and self-doubt. Your brain reacts automatically to these cues, repeating the old narrative unless you consciously intervene. Trigger 3. Mental shortcuts, cognitive bias. Your brain loves efficiency. It often jumps to conclusions, remembers failures more than successes, and exaggerates threats. This is called cognitive bias. The result? Negative self-talk thrives because the brain highlights proof of your limits while ignoring evidence of your potential. Awareness is the antidote. When you notice, this is just my bias at work, you prevent automatic sabotage and replace it with intentional, constructive dialogue. Trigger 4. Language habits. Repetitive phrases you've used for years become triggers themselves. Saying, "I can't," or "I always fail," sets off a chain reaction in your subconscious. Even if you try to think positively afterward, the habitual phrase is already active in your mind. Interrupting and replacing these habits is essential, which is why the formula of awareness, interruption, and replacement is so critical. Trigger 5. Emotional states. Fear, stress, and fatigue are magnets for negative self-talk. When your emotions are heightened, your inner critic speaks louder, and positive self-talk is harder to maintain. That's why self-talk must be paired with emotional regulation, breathing, grounding, and visualization to remain effective under pressure. The truth is, your mind is always listening. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It responds to subtle cues, automatic triggers, and past imprints, shaping your life quietly but persistently. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck isn't intelligence, luck, or talent. It's awareness of these triggers and deliberate control over them. Here's a powerful practice. Identify triggers as they appear. Name them. Pause. Interrupt the automatic response. Speak consciously. Replace old reactions with empowering self-talk. Anchor the new response with emotion. Feel the shift. Do this consistently, and over time, your triggers lose their power. Your subconscious aligns with your intentions, not your fears. This is the final layer of self-talk mastery. It's subtle, invisible, but transformative. Because once you understand the hidden forces shaping your mind, you're no longer a passenger. You become the driver of your thoughts, words, and ultimately your life. But even with mastery over triggers, a final truth remains, a deeper secret about self-talk that separates those who change temporarily from those who transform permanently. In the next chapter, we will uncover that secret and unlock the ultimate level of mental power. Chapter 11. The Secret to Permanent Change. What if all the effort, all the affirmations, all the positive self-talk you've practiced could vanish if one hidden principle is ignored? And what if mastering this principle could make your transformation permanent, unstoppable, unshakable? The truth is, most people fail to sustain change not because they lack knowledge or motivation, but because they ignore consistency and identity alignment. You can repeat affirmations endlessly, follow rituals perfectly, and interrupt negative thoughts meticulously. Yet if your inner identity, your core sense of self, hasn't shifted, the old patterns will return. Permanent change requires aligning your self-talk with who you truly believe you are. Think of your identity as the foundation of a house. No matter how beautiful the furniture, your positive thoughts, or how strong the paint, your rituals, is, if the foundation is weak or misaligned, the structure cannot stand. Your words, rituals, and intentions must reinforce the identity you want to embody. If you say, "I am confident," but still see yourself as weak and fearful, the inner conflict sabotages your progress. So how do you align identity with self-talk? Step 1. Define who you truly want to be. Write down your ideal self, not what you want temporarily, but who you want to be at your core. Include qualities, behaviors, emotional patterns, and values. This is your new identity. Step 2. Speak as that identity. Your self-talk must match this new identity. Instead of saying, "I want to be successful," say, "I am successful, and I act with focus and courage every day." The present tense is critical. Your subconscious responds to who you are now, not who you hope to become. Step 3. Act as that identity. Thoughts alone are insufficient. Behaviors must align with words. If your new identity is confident, act with confidence, even if it feels strange at first. Consistency bridges the gap between mind and reality. Here's a key insight. Change feels uncomfortable because your brain is resisting the unfamiliar. It's defending the old identity, the old comfort zone, the old story. But every time you speak, think, and act in alignment with your new identity, the old neural pathways weaken and new ones strengthen. This is how permanent transformation occurs. Not overnight, but through repeated, deliberate practice that rewrites the essence of who you are. Step 4. Guard the voice of identity. Your new self-talk must become sacred. Protect it from criticism, gossip, and toxic environments that attempt to revert you to the old identity. Treat your internal dialogue as a garden. Prune negativity, water positive phrases, nurture the growth of strength, courage, and joy. Step 5. Internalize success. Celebrate progress quietly, without relying on external validation. Every time you reinforce your new identity through words and actions, the transformation becomes permanent. Your subconscious eventually accepts it as reality. No effort, no struggle, just natural alignment. The secret is simple, yet overlooked. Permanent change is identity-driven self-talk. It's not about repeating words mechanically. It's about becoming the person your words describe. Every affirmation, every ritual, every moment of awareness works only when it serves your evolving identity. The most powerful people in the world, those who radiate confidence, resilience, and clarity, are not necessarily more talented or lucky. They have mastered this principle. Their self-talk aligns perfectly with their identity. Their inner voice is loyal, unwavering, and disciplined. The results are the natural reflection of the internal revolution they've created. Imagine waking up each day as the person you've always wanted to be. The inner critic no longer controls your decisions. Your words no longer sabotage you. Your thoughts no longer limit you. You are the embodiment of your chosen self, and every moment reinforces it permanently. In the next chapter, we will bring all the pieces together, from awareness to triggers, formulas, rituals, and identity alignment, and reveal a complete blueprint for living a life dominated by empowering self-talk, a life where your mind is your greatest ally, your inner voice is your guide, and transformation is permanent.
Chapter 12: The Blueprint of Lasting Self-Talk Mastery. What if everything you've learned so far, awareness, formulas, rituals, triggers, and identity alignment, could be woven together into one master blueprint for a life of unstoppable power? Could you finally step into a reality where your inner voice is your ultimate ally, guiding you every moment? This is the moment where knowledge becomes action, where theory becomes transformation. The blueprint for lasting self-talk mastery is not a single practice, it's a system, a layered approach that covers every corner of your mind, every word you speak, every thought you allow. It is the ultimate map to becoming the person you were always meant to be. Step 1. Awareness as the foundation. Begin by listening to your thoughts with intention. Notice the words, phrases, and stories you tell yourself. Identify which ones empower you and which ones limit you. This awareness is the seed of transformation. Without it, no change can take root. Step 2. Interruption and replacement. Once you catch limiting thoughts, interrupt them immediately. Replace them with intentional, empowering self-talk, in present tense, specific, and emotionally charged. This rewires your subconscious, creating new pathways of belief and action. Step 3. Daily rituals. Morning alignment, midday reset, evening reflection, emotional anchoring, and visualization. These rituals make self-talk habitual and automatic. Consistency transforms small daily efforts into compounding momentum that reshapes your life. Step 4. Understanding hidden triggers. Know your triggers, emotional anchors, environmental cues, cognitive biases, habitual phrases, and heightened emotional states. By recognizing them, you prevent sabotage and take control of your inner dialogue. Step 5. Identity alignment. Your words must align with who you choose to be. Speak, think, and act as that person every day. When your self-talk reflects your true identity, change becomes permanent, effortless, and natural. Step 6. Emotional integration. Pair self-talk with feeling. Your subconscious responds not just to words, but to the emotions behind them. Anchor positivity with confidence, courage, love, and gratitude. This strengthens neural pathways and embeds transformation deeply. When these steps are applied together, the results are unstoppable. Your inner critic no longer dictates your life. Your past no longer limits your future. Your thoughts, words, and actions work in harmony, creating reality from intention. You are no longer a passenger in your mind. You are the driver, the architect, the creator. This blueprint is not just for temporary growth, it is for lifelong mastery. Every challenge, setback, and obstacle becomes fuel for deeper transformation. Every success becomes reinforcement of the empowered identity you've built. Because lasting self-talk mastery is not a goal, it is a way of life. Closing reflection. Imagine living each day fully aligned with your inner voice, calm, confident, resilient, and purposeful. Every word you speak nurtures growth. Every thought fuels success. Every action strengthens your chosen identity. This is the culmination of all the lessons in this book. The power you sought externally has always been within. It was waiting for you to speak it, feel it, and live it. You are no longer bound by doubt, fear, or old stories. You are free to create, to grow, to thrive. Final words. Remember, the journey does not end here. Self-talk mastery is a lifelong path, a daily practice, a conscious choice, a personal revolution. Every day is an opportunity to speak, act, and think in alignment with the person you are always meant to be. Embrace it, own it, live it. Your mind is now your greatest ally, and your inner voice your guiding light. Thank you for joining this journey through the power of self-talk. Carry these lessons with you, practice them relentlessly, and watch as your life transforms in ways you never imagined. Now, take a deep breath, feel your power, and step forward with confidence. This concludes the audiobook. Return any time to these pages, to these words, and to your own voice, for the journey of transformation never truly ends. The end.